Good evening, everybody.
Hello, hello. And Daniel, you really need to get another campaign going because it feels weird not having the opening.
I know, yeah, I know. Well, something tells me, the Guardian Angel Part One trailer will probably be making a comeback at some point.
Well, okay then.
Yeah. But yeah, welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder. And Daniel, would it be safe to say that the culture we're critiquing this week is we're presenting it in order of descending madness?
Yes, I would say that is true. Yeah. And hey, Ninja, good to see you.
Hello, hello.
Yeah. So if you're returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we've started doing for the last few weeks is we do a lot of reviews. We review something new, and then some new stuff, and mixture a little bit, and then we do like a classic review. Although in this case, it's a cult classic. Uh,
It still checks out.
yes. But of course, before we get into all of that, we do some box office analysis.
Yes, though, much like we've kind of phased out controversy unless we actually had a strong take on it. Man, if this if this actor strike keeps going much longer, we might have to phase this out because. But
Yeah.
anyway, so there's really only one major release this week, and that is the new Martin Scorsese film, Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yes, and I know a little bit about it. I know it's a period drama with Leonardo DiCaprio, and it's also like 3.5 hours long.
Yeah, R-rated 3.5 hour movie, kind of Oscar baity. So but when I heard people speculating that, the studio doesn't expect to make a lot of money on this one, they're just buying an Oscar.
Yeah.
Well, okay, that makes enough sense. But what kind of budget are we talking here? 50, 100 million? No, this thing costs as much as a Marvel movie claims to cost
Yes.
before you inevitably find out that they actually lowballed the public budget.
Yes. Before the UK government tells on them.
Yeah. So, man, $200 million for a 200 million, or excuse me, $23 million opening weekend domestically for a $200 million budget. That. Um,
Yeah, this movie's not going to make its money back.
no, I wonder if they're thinking, oh well, we can afford it. I mean, we're going to have Mission Impossible to take to the bank, right? Right?
Right.
That
Yeah.
won't underperform. Yes.
Oh, yeesh. And it just says, "Descending Madness is reading Lovecraft." Yeah, that's what I've heard. And yeah, and he also says that's the power of the name Martin Scorsese. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I mean, we looked at the box office when we did our review of Wolf of Wall Street. It was like successful, but not like hyper successful. But that's a movie with some staying power. So as
Yeah.
long as this one is good and like it's something that you'll sell digital and discs of, sell the streaming services, get ads. Like long term, this is one that's going to be fine.
Yeah. Yeah, they'll probably break even eventually on it. Yeah.
Yep. So your other major releases, Taylor Swift is leading the box office, though it had a Marvel-style second week tumble of 64%.
Yeah, everybody wanted to see it, saw it. Yeah.
Yep. Which, mind you, I'm sure, people will talk about this saving the theaters. This certainly didn't hurt the theaters.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you saw Chris Gore had little bit of a rant about the Taylor Swift
Yes.
movie.
Where the Swifties were having so much fun that they ruined the movie he was actually trying to watch.
Right. Yeah. Uh, yeah.
Which, I get being excited, but, be considerate that you're not actually at a concert venue.
Right. Yeah.
If the theater has to give a bunch of refunds, they're not going to be happy with you.
Very true. Yeah.
Let's see. As far as other movies, Exorcist, Believer, kind of hanging in there. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. This has just been a bad fall for movies in general.
Hmm. Yeah.
Like the really big success for as far as horror movies go, we have The Nun with an $85 million domestic and at week 7.
Mm. Consideration from Swifties. Mhm.
Yeah, Ninja Toe, Ninja Toe, Ninja Toe. Only most Taylor Swift fans are narcissistic jerks.
Yeah. Yes. Uh,
But yeah, like and the Nun technically released in late summer from where I sit. So
yeah. Yeah. That was like late August, wasn't it?
yeah, I think so. So it's like not exactly. It kind of avoids being part of this fall of ignominy.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like the horror movies, like Nightmare Before Christmas had a re-release. So $4 million free dollars. So that's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this year has been pretty bad. Like better than last year on like a gross level,
Hmm.
but not a lot of movies are actually making money.
Yeah. Yeah. We were talking about before the show. Like, there only been two superhero movies that have broken even this year. One was Guardians of the Galaxy, and then
The other one
this
is
one
the
here.
friggin' Paw Patrol the Mighty movie,
Yeah.
where I remember seeing this before the Flash and think like the trailer for this before the Flash and thinking, so you guys have completely misunderstood where the market is going right now. If becoming a superhero movie is your attempt to cling to relevance for your Paw Patrol franchise, and you're kind of in trouble. But they're making it work.
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, it's kind of like I think the similar effect that that Elemental benefited from was that what else is there at this time, like this time of the year, that you can take a small child to and it won't be harmful,
Right. Yeah.
especially in horror movie season.
Mm, yes. And and not and even horror movies are not, as we're seeing here, not performing very well.
No, Saw X, which was really well received, is only at 47 million after a month.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to usually go, oh, who cares about the actors promoting their movies? Nobody cares. So what if you can't go on Colbert? I am starting to wonder if that does have more of a difference than I was wanting to lend it.
Yeah. Because you might occasionally get somebody who watches some normie who watches that show and goes, "Oh, there that movie's coming out. Oh, that looks interesting."
Yeah, like, if they have, if I don't know, I'm going to make up a
Mm,
number.
yeah.
If a typical episode of Colbert Report has 2 million views, I, I think that's about right from the last I heard. It could be
Yeah.
under, but like even if if one for 2 million, if 1% of uh, I'll say if 5% it goes, that's 100,000 people going to your movie,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is not insignificant.
No, no, it's not, and especially now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If um, but yeah, so since there really isn't anything too new to talk about, I think we can safely move on. Aside from just because you're going to a simulated concert, be considerate of the other theater spaces around you. They're not designed to baffle the noise of people screaming their lungs out when they get excited.
Yeah, yeah. Act like you're at a Christian gospel concert. You know.
Now, depending on what part of the country you're in, that could mean more or less noise.
That's true. That's true.
um, well, that's actually a decent segue for our first review. Speaking of people shouting loudly,
Yes.
we watched the newish Black Clover movie,
Yeah.
Sword of the Wizard King.
Yes. Which and And I will say, going into this, I had never seen anything Black Clover related. Like I didn't know anything about it.
On my end, I have the weirdest exposure to this series you can imagine. I have seen the entire first season
Mm,
because a while back Xbox was doing a giveaway where it's like they're trying to encourage you to buy more seasons of it.
yeah.
And then I had a friend who was watching through it, and he would occasionally say, "Oh, we need to watch these episodes." And he never really showed me the fight scenes. What he would show me would be, he would show me you know, like for most series, they'll have like, big fight scene, then you'll have like a couple of sort of more goofy episodes to that just kind of to break up the action.
Yeah.
He would always show me the goofy episodes because that was his favorite part of the series was just the characters in these mundane situations. So I was in a similar place, and part of the reason I picked this was that I decided to get my own Netflix account rather than sponge off my parents.
Mm.
Sidebar review: the Netflix advertisements don't seem to be too obnoxious.
Oh, that's good.
I've only tried movies so far, so I don't know how that will hold true for TV shows. That could be where it gets bad if they put ads wherever there was an ad break before.
Right. Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, not I mean for $7 a month, I already got my money's worth because I didn't have to buy this digitally or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Um, now, this is in the proud tradition of shonen animes that are canon-ish, where from what research I did, it appears to be a totally unique plot that is not pulled from the manga.
Mm.
I would say that they did a pretty decent job making it so that you could believe it was actually canon to things.
Okay. Yeah.
Um, so if you're like Daniel, you've never seen Black Clover before, basically Black Clover is kind of the latter day Naruto, is how I'd kind of put it.
Mm.
Though with a couple of improvements from my perspective. Uh, the It's basically you have Asta, who is a non-magic user in a world where magic use determines your social rank.
It's sort of like Midoriya in My Hero Academia.
Yes, only with more societal discrimination as opposed to just bullying.
Yeah.
And instead of eating some strange older man's hair, Asta gets the power. Like everybody who has a magic gets a grimoire that has their spells in it, and he gets a special grimoire of anti-magic. So basically, he's so not magic that he breaks the system.
Yes. Yeah.
And but because he technically sucks, he ends up being assigned to uh, this group of wizards called the Black Bulls, who are a bunch of misfits, weirdos, perverts, and all around good for nothings, but
Yeah.
who keep pulling it out in the clutch.
Yeah. It's sort of like fairy tale.
Yes. Oh yeah. So no one would ever accuse Black Clover of being particularly original. Like let's get this out of the way right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and so it's basically Asta going on adventures, and uh, that's the long and short of it.
Yeah. And he wants to be the Wizard King one day.
Oh, I forgot. So it's almost like it's like an unholy combination of Naruto, My Hero Academia, and One Piece.
Yeah. Yes.
So, Daniel, tell us about the plot of this movie.
Okay. So the plot of the movie is a previous Wizard King. I can't remember. Julius, is that his name?
Yeah.
uh, it opens with him. He's trying to use what's called the 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 sword. Yeah, the title of the movie, the Sword of the Wizard King, and because he's trying to destroy the world because of the inequality and discrimination that happens. But then he gets stopped and sealed away for 10 years, and then they flash forward 10 years to the uh, magic tournament that they're holding to have the next Wizard King,
I,
and
I I don't know if it was for to have the next Wizard King or if it was just like a bout for the sake of having a bout.
oh, okay.
I could be mistaken.
Yeah, a lot happened. There's a lot of stuff happens in this movie. It's
Uh,
kind of hard to keep it all straight.
and especially for somebody who hadn't ever seen it before. So
Yeah, yeah. Um, the opening round features the two main characters. You had, Yuno, who's like the the perfect mage, and
he's the Sasuke.
he's the Saska, and then Asta shows up in disguise.
It's really hilarious to me that he decided to show up. So in the series, apparently at this point, he has either been banished or he's a fugitive from the law. But he decides to show up for this wizards tournament in a cloak. Then he proceeds to bust out the completely distinct anti-magic sword to, to fight with Yuno in the first round of this tournament.
Yeah, gee, I wonder who that could be.
It marks the worst disguise in anime since that time that Usopp showed up with a golden mask that still had a really long nose and
Yeah,
called himself Soga King. It
yeah.
was clearly just Usopp wearing a yellow mask.
Yeah. Yeah, so then but then the tournament gets spoiled when the evil old wizard king shows up with some friends, past wizard kings, evil wizard kings.
Yep, because you can add to the list of things that this draws from Avatar: The Last Airbender. Because the sword has a piece of the soul of each wizard king in it, and he's able to reconstitute the dead wizard kings from their soul fragments.
Right. And and each one of them has their own distinct magical attacks that are just overpowered and devastating for our heroes. And they have to go off and get help from this magical lab, and then things just kind of progressively get worse, and then eventually they all band together, and Asta gives them a really big pep talk, and they go off to save the day.
Yep. So right. I mean, spoiler alert. And the series does not end with a non-canon movie with the world being wiped out.
Right. Yeah.
So so if you ask, what's the story about? I was about to make a disparaging comment about for these one-shot shonen movies that's never what the point of it is. It's a romp with your characters with a better budget.
Yeah.
But I would actually say that as far as these go, this one is actually kind of interesting because it kind of asks the question of what if Asta was the villain, or like what would Asta be like as a villain,
Hmm.
since they have the same kind of motivation, which is they both are trying to deal with the inequality of the world. Just that Asta believes in incrementalism, and our main villain is a typical Sephiroth type who wants to hit the reset button on the Earth and try again.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and two, you've also got like um the the one character, the girl,
Oh, Noel.
Noelle, yeah, who's like she's a noble, right? And yeah.
Right. Uh, yeah, Noel is. I remember like watching a video on YouTube like 5-ish years ago where people were arguing that Black Clover is a better harem anime than most harem animes because there are a surprisingly large number of girls who are interested in Asta, considering that he's kind of a spaz who shouts all the time.
Yeah.
By the way, you watched it in English, right?
Yes.
the Japanese voice of Asta is like ear poison.
Oh, really?
Like the way like the way he screams all the time. I forget if they recast him or made him tone it down in that.
Uh, okay.
It's much more bearable in the English version.
Okay. Yeah. And there are just so many characters in this
Yeah.
story. It's kind of hard to keep them all straight.
It-
Like,
yeah, it's kind of amazing when you think about it that they managed to have so many characters and they really gave everybody a chance to do something cool,
yeah,
which a lot of these movies fail.
yeah, and they get like you get like the captains who get like they have to do their own, and they have to, well, not just the captains but all of them, they split all of the kings up, and they all have their own fights with them in like different parts of the world.
Yeah, and considering that they're characters who are designed to live and die in the same movie, I think they did a decent job distinguishing the kings apart from each other.
Yeah, yeah, and one of them, we were talking before the show, is definitely as Death from Akame ga Kill.
Yeah, this redhead up here,
Yeah.
and what's really funny is that her opponent is this other redhead here, who I'm going to show a series of pictures here.
All right.
So I forget her name, but this is the fire mage who wears kind of an open shirt tunic
Hmm.
and fist fights with fire, which
Yeah.
looks suspiciously like Natsu
Not.
from Fairy Tale.
Yeah.
Similar sort of fashion sense.
Yes.
And her opponent is the redheaded Esdeath lookalike here,
Yeah.
who, when she decides to take it seriously and stop fighting through minions, ends up in armor that looks suspiciously like like
There's
Ezra
a,
Scarlet from Fairy Tale.
yeah.
So I think that was an intentional visual reference. It had to be.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too.
But yeah, so like I would say that as far as movies of this stripe go, it had more going for it than a lot of them do, even for series
Mhm.
I'm more familiar with.
Yeah, there, for me, like, there was, obviously there was a lot of in universe references, like inside baseball stuff
Mhm.
that they would mention, that I'm like, okay, I don't know what the what the deal is with that. Okay, this person over here that just kind of shows up. I'm like, okay, I don't know who that is, but all right, whatever.
I'll roll with it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's very action heavy, if that's your thing.
Yep.
Um,
It's got a little bit of a plot. And okay, so here's kind of the other secret about Black Clover. Yeah, I think this is part of why it works as well as it does. They tend to keep most of the characters pretty simple because there are so many freaking characters.
yeah.
Like you might have noticed that early on, like there was the guy who was there looking at a picture of his sister, talk about how much he loved his sister. That's like his one thing. Like most of the characters have the one character trait or joke,
Yeah.
and basically everybody got their one character trait or joke to happen.
Yeah. And then there was the one character who looked like Marilyn Manson.
Yeah, and who always whispers most of his lines.
Yeah.
The only time he talks at a normal volume is when he's casting a spell, it seems.
Yeah.
But like if you I forget if you watch the sub if they actually they actually subtitle his lines. But like if you turn up the volume or get it very close, you can actually hear what he's saying. Like he's not just he is actually saying the lines just very
Yeah.
very very quietly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, like it it addresses it, it is oddly enough slightly political, which
Mhm.
I which is weird to say for this type of show, but it is basically just like, yeah, incrementalism and change is hard, but your utopia is going to involve an awful lot of bodies, especially because this guy is playing God, because he'll get to destroy the Clover Kingdom, and then
Mhm.
he'll choose who's worthy of being revived.
Yeah. basically Thanos to an even greater extreme.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Thanos at least rolled the dice on which half died.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. This guy's like, okay, you're gonna come back. You don't. You don't. You don't. You do. You do. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I would say that if you're just looking for a good old fashioned shonen brawl, this one has really top tier animation, some cool fight scenes. The plot is pretty darn basic,
Yeah.
but it's Black Clover. You're not really here for the plot or deep characterization. The fact that the villain had characterization and motivation at all is honestly a surprise for this sort of movie.
Yes. Yeah.
So, by those very specific metrics, I can give it a recommend.
Indeed. Yes, I can too. Yeah. And even with my like little to no knowledge of Black Clover, and you're more more knowledgeable, but
It's still limited. Yeah.
it's still limited. Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah. Right. So
Meanwhile, so that was our first level of madness, which is just on the level of Black Clover is a very loud, bombastic show.
yes.
Now the second level of madness, the amazing digital circus, which I'm told is all the rage with the algorithm these days.
Yeah. So yeah, I watched this yesterday, and I'm like, okay, I need to smoke something to watch this. It's just like, what the heck?
Yeah, so amazing digital circus. The pilot has been posted by the creators of it,
Mhm.
and this is kind of in the tradition of Has Been Hotel, where it's a skilled animator trying to like drive buzz for their project in the hope of getting picked up.
Mhm.
And worked for Has Been Hotel. It's coming to Amazon in like January or something. So
Oh wow. Mm.
as an actual series, so it's a proven formula for success. And so far, he's gotten many millions of views on the video on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah. So this one might get picked up too.
Yep. But that also means is that because it's a pilot, it's so pilots are different than episode ones because a pilot you're trying to basically show an executive the breadth of what you're trying to offer for your TV show.
Right. And there are things that go on in the pilot that will probably get phased out in later episodes. Like
Yep.
characters and concepts and stuff like that.
Or they'll get their own episode to flush them out a bit more.
Right.
Um, but so it starts off looking like an N64 game before it goes a bit more high res.
Yeah.
Definitely got like a 90s 3D aesthetic to it.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the animation on it. Yeah. It's
Yeah. So basically, the Amazing Digital Circus is it's like a digital purgatory, really.
yeah. It opens with the characters who's the guy with the eyes and the
I
chattering.
don't know anybody's names. We'll just the Ringmaster.
The ringmaster. Okay. So the ringmaster and the other characters are doing a show, and then all of a sudden, the girl who's dressed up like the court jester pops in, and she's like, "What am I doing here? What's going on? What is this place?" And
Let us explain to you.
yeah,
I love the voice acting for the Ringmaster because he was that type of bombastic cheeriness that sounds insincere, but
yeah,
still very excited.
yes, yeah. And so she's, they basically tell her that they're in this like digital circus world, and she wants to leave, but they're like, "Oh no, you can't leave." But she's like, "Well, the exit's right there." Like, no, that's not really an exit. Like,
Right? You didn't see anything. Yeah, like it's like a very small world. 'Cause, like, let me show you all the places.
yeah,
Here's the carousel. Here, I forget what the other place was. And then here's the endless void. We don't
yeah,
go into the endless void.
yeah, yeah, and so then I'm trying to remember what happens with the
So,
black blob thing. Yeah.
so there's okay. So there's like two things that were kind of going on at the same time.
Yeah.
So apparently, the ringmaster, just to keep them busy and from going insane, will issue them like a challenge of some sort. Like, oh, yeah, our new activity today: a bunch of gloinks are on the loose. So you have to go get the gloinks, and the gloinks are these little bug-ish things, I guess.
Yeah.
And like if they grab you, they'll like tear. So it's definitely taking advantage of the 3D animated medium. Like if they get you, they'll tear apart your component pieces, but like only because a lot of the character designs don't have actual things connecting them, kind of like Rayman.
Right. Yeah.
And so half of them go off to chase down the Gloinks, who have kidnapped one of the friends,
Hmm.
and then the clown and the ragdoll go to see if they can figure out what's going on with with the court jester and the ragdoll go off to see what happened to this clown. And the answer is that the clown went derezzed, which apparently succumbing to the madness of their horrific situation.
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, he's dead." Okay, well,
Yeah, here's this big black blob, and if he touches you, you start glitching out.
yeah,
Which I happened to catch a clip of the scene where the clown is glitching out in the Mandarin dub. Yes, apparently there's a Mandarin dub. Like this person
mm,
like went all out with their efforts to get this thing picked up.
wow,
And what's funny is Mandarin is kind of a tonal language, right?
right,
So as she's like glitching out and just like moving around the screen in a glitchy, uh, bad 3D way,
yeah.
it sounded like a Hatsune Miku song as she was.
Uh,
But and so eventually, the court jester finds her exit. Then
yes,
do you remember the Gargoyles episode where it was just one more door, one more door, one more
yeah,
door?
yeah. That's what happens here. Yeah,
Yeah, she starts losing it. And
yeah,
meanwhile, the other adventurers go off to and they find the Queen Gloink, who looks
yeah,
like a bagpipe with teeth.
yeah,
Without, I guess, without the pipes, just a bag with teeth.
yeah,
And the two problem solve each other because the derezzed member of the group falls on top of the Gloink Queen, proceeding to glitch her out.
yeah,
And the day is saved? Question mark, because they're all still in purgatory.
yeah. Yeah. It's. I found this whole thing deeply disturbing.
Yeah, that's very much on purpose, and that's we've complained before about how a lot of animation that pretends to be for children is really for the millennials processing their issues, working on it.
Yeah. This is-
Uh, this is an honest take on that type of thing.
yeah. Uh, yeah, and it was just like, okay, well, so we've got a bunch of characters who are just batch. Well, I probably can't say that on YouTube, but just totally crazy, cray cray, and
Mhm.
it's just like you kind of have to live with the madness.
Right? There's like a rabbit who's everybody's favorite character, from what I can tell, who's just kind of smarmy and sarcastic and takes it out on everyone else around them.
Yeah,
There's a king who's clearly losing it.
yeah,
Those are the characters who stand out the most. Like the ragdoll. She's basically Raggedy Ann, but
hmm
she's just kind of nice.
yeah. And the court jester girl, the voice actress, she did the dub of Chizuru and Rent a Girlfriend.
So not her first time with the mind break tag.
Right. And Ninja says, "This looks like something I'm not interested in watching." Yeah, it's not for everybody.
I don't even think it would be for me because
Yeah.
it's like from a story engine perspective, and maybe this is something that would be again episode one is different than a pilot. This has
Right.
to show off all of the details at once.
Yeah. And
It felt a little bit early in the series for her to find an exit.
yeah, yeah. You would think that would happen like halfway through the season, maybe, or
Yeah,
at
like
the end of the
halfway
season.
through could be a
Yeah.
The other thing is that it's kind of like Gilligan's Island, to bring up a weird comparison point, because if they find their way out of the digital circus, then series over.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and the yeah, the ringmaster is kind of like the professor.
Yeah, like where you could just make things happen.
Yeah.
So like I feel like it's kind of vaguely disturbing, and like as far as the animation goes, it's very nicely done animation. It definitely is very cartoony and takes advantage of the medium in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, like I said, yeah, I like the animation a lot. It's just I didn't care for the story.
No, I think I kind of had a similar feeling at the end of Has Been Hotel, where it's like, okay, that was a fine one-off premise. I cannot find myself interested in like what an episode of this show would look like. I don't think,
Yeah, I kind of I feel the same way. Yeah.
but it's very big on Twitter, or the platform formerly known as Twitter, as far as I can tell.
Hmm.
Because and like I had to tell YouTube to stop showing me fan theory videos and things like that
Oh, jeez.
after I watched this. So like
Uh,
there's definitely an enthusiastic fan base out there. I'll admit that for most things like this, I don't bother to come up with theories, because you're inevitably going to be wrong because there isn't enough information yet.
right. Yeah. Yeah, just like Rick and Morty.
Like Rick and Morty, or the Star Wars sequels, where
Yeah.
like yeah, actually almost everybody's theory about what was going to happen in Episode 8 was wrong.
Yeah.
A YouTuber I follow occasionally, called Thor Skywalker, did actually predict that Rey could end up being nobody. So
Yeah. I do remember, although I do remember one theory I did hear. I can't remember who it was, but it was after the Force Awakens. They did predict that Rey was Palpatine's granddaughter.
and they knew it before Disney, or the Disney did.
They knew it before J.J. Abrams.
Had to pull something out of left field.
Yeah.
But
Jeez.
anyway, Amazing Digital Circus. Not enough Star Wars bashing.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Um, do we get? I would recommend watching the pilot.
Hmm.
If it does get picked up and there are more episodes, I might be interested. But I generally don't seem to enjoy um, these self-published, vaguely adultish cartoons, like Hell of a
Yeah.
Boss and things like that.
Yeah. They're definitely niche and very much for a specific audience, and yeah, it's
You know what it really feels like with a lot of these? It's like I mentioned before, it's the more honest thing about millennials making cartoons for themselves about their own insecurities. It
yeah.
feels like the more I feel like what the creators of Steven Universe would do, well, not Steven Universe specifically, but like that type of Cal artsy cartoon
Yeah.
would
Yeah.
do, if they didn't have to make Cartoon Network happy.
Right. Yeah. Or something like like Gravity Falls and that kind
Yeah,
of.
like if Gravity Falls didn't have to kowtow to Disney.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was certainly an interesting experience.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, it's only a half hour, so.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so that was our second tier of madness.
Okay, now for the now for the ultimate tier of madness. The
What?
can I say the line?
Say it.
Evil, pure and simple from the eighth dimension.
Yes, we watched The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension, which occurs to me, Daniel,
Mhm.
he really only goes into the eighth dimension once in the movie,
Yes, he does. Yeah.
towards the start even.
Yeah, and then they never goes back. Uh, and let's see. Ninja says a problem. Type of shows are for millennials only, not for people who want something.
For
Yeah, yeah.
for those watching the play
Like,
the
yeah,
clipped up playbacks, he's talking about the Amazing Digital Circus, which was our previous review.
right. Yeah. Um,
So, Holy Ninja asks, Is this the return of form for reviewing movies for the memes? This is one that's been like, how can you not hear the name Buckaroo Banzai Adventures Across the Eighth Dimension and wonder what it's about?
Yeah.
Because I've been seeing this thing like on movie store shelves for 20 years, which I believe is when the DVD was released. It was roughly 20 years ago.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. I thought I had bought it on DVD, but I went through my collection. I couldn't find it. I must have rented it on Netflix. Because I watched I watched this in college once, and I just remember thinking, I have no idea what I'm watching.
Daniel, after a second view, do you have any idea what you're watching?
A little better, not a lot
Yeah,
better, but a little
yeah.
better.
I mean, geez, Daniel, it's not that complicated of a concept. It's about a samurai, half Japanese, brain surgeon, jazz singer, comic book star, adventurer, astrophysicist
Yeah.
who uh, who discovers a organism hiding inside of a mountain when he goes into the eighth dimension, eh, and this discovery causes the evil John Lithgow to escape from a mental hospital to in order to team up with the other aliens who've been hiding on the Earth since the 40s
Yes.
to steal the device that let him do it.
Yeah, and then a whole bunch of other stuff happens along the way, like them encountering other aliens from the same planet.
Yep. All named John.
Yeah, they're all named John. Yeah, and one of the aliens is played by Christopher Lloyd, and his name is John Big Booty.
Big Booty. Big Booty.
Yeah, so DV just, of course, just gave it the basics of the plot. The rest of it is just a lot of weird stuff and uh, action scenes and romantic subplots and
Yeah, about an amnesiac girl who's the uh, lost twin sister of the Queen of Denmark, or was it,
yes,
or the Netherlands? One of those countries,
Netherlands, yeah,
Netherlands,
well, yeah.
who who happened to be Buckaroo Banzai's deceased ex-wife.
Yeah. And they were they were born in okay, they were born in Cody, Wyoming, which I've been to Cody, Wyoming. I'm like, Cody, Wyoming, of all places.
Was this movie written by Madlib?
Probably.
All right, now name a place, name a profession. Queen of the Netherlands.
Oh man.
Oh, and Jeff Goldblum is in it.
Yes, and as you were saying when we were watching this and talking about it, dressed up like a neon sign from Las Vegas.
Yeah, just like a not Las Vegas neon sign cowboy. Even
Yeah.
though his character, like he's not from Texas or
Yeah.
anywhere where they actually have cowboys. It's just the aesthetic he has chosen for himself.
Yeah.
He is also a brain surgeon.
Yes. Yeah, they call him New Jersey because he's from New Jersey.
So just like everything in this movie is so random.
Yeah.
I would say that it's in that category of movies where you don't know exactly what you're watching, but it's pretty compelling regardless.
Yeah, yeah. You're not entirely sure what's going on, but it's like, but you're just kind of along for the ride, and you're like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're entertained, despite the fact that you're going. I have no idea what's going on in this movie. I don't know why they're doing that. Why are they going there now? Why is that happening here? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I just keep thinking of these weird scenes. Like they kept it's like they kept going with the intentionally worst take they could all the time.
Yeah.
because characters are constantly stammering, or they'll start a line and then repeat it again.
Yeah. The actors are trying not to crack up in the scene.
Yeah, it's just he's a character like Buckaroo Banzai is the biggest Mary Sue in the entire universe, and it has the basic plotting ability of a fan fiction.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, and oh god, what was I was gonna say? John Lithgow, like,
Oh, perfect casting for an Italian alien with, I don't know if I couldn't decide if he had always been an alien, but he was just in disguise, or if
yeah,
he accidentally, because like he used an early version of the warping machine
yeah,
and proceeded
and
to go insane and kill people.
yeah, and if you notice in that scene, in that first scene with him, or the flashback scene before he gets possessed, like he doesn't say a word. He
Yeah,
doesn't
so maybe
talk.
he wasn't even Italian, but he was, although his name was Lizardo. So
Yeah, yeah.
though, okay, so here's a question for you that just hit me. Was his first name John?
Yes.
Okay, so he was one of the aliens because all the aliens are inexplicably named John.
Yeah, they would go back and forth between calling him Lizardo and then John Wharton, something like that. Wharton. Yeah,
Orphan, yeah.
yeah, and yeah, and what was the one the security guard was like John's berries or something like that. Something with berries in it.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I don't know.
Also, I hope that they paid the actress who played Buckaroo Banzai's love interest really well, because they just put her through the most miserable shooting conditions throughout the entire movie. Always in deep or in shallow water, being attacked by people or strapped down to torture devices.
Yeah, having like weird bugs coming crawling up on her, and
Yeah,
yeah,
like they were pouring ants on her as they're, because of course aliens from another dimension are gonna immediately jump to ants as a way to interrogate people and force information out of them.
yeah. Oh man,
And of course the good aliens are all Jamaican because why not?
yes. Yeah, and yeah, one of them was John Parker, no relation. Um, God, I can't remember the name of the actor's name, but he was the voice of Martian Manhunter in the Justice
Oh,
League animated series.
okay. Yeah, I can hear that now that you mention it.
Mm. But yeah, it's
Oh, and like when they get the Princess Leia moment where the head Rasta alien is telling them about the evil plan of the villain. At
yeah,
the end of it, she's like, "End of discussion." And I immediately texted Daniel. I was like, "That wasn't a discussion. That was exposition dump because
yeah,
that was a recording that they were playing." I
yeah,
think.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Like this is so a first draft, just
Oh,
a
it is. Yeah,
complete first draft. Like it's just so bizarre.
yeah, yeah, and of course, you were saying too that you thought you thought it was cute that they thought they were going to get a sequel.
Yeah, at the end of the movie, they have this. Apparently, it's a famous enough scene that I finally get a joke from one of the AMV Hell videos, where like all the characters just walking through this concrete platform, like I guess on a hydroelectric
Oh,
dam or something.
that looked that looked like the L.A. River actually.
Oh, that could be it.
It could have been the L.A. or it's something like that. Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
know. Yeah,
I
but
was like
yeah,
they just had this song going in the background, dee 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 dee, and it just like confidently walking along as they set up the credits.
yeah,
So it's like there's too many characters to keep track of, and nothing really makes sense. But it's
yeah,
just it kind of reminded me a little bit of The Room. Like it's more competent than The Room,
yeah.
but it's similar sort of. Actually, no. The Room is a bad example. You know what this is? This is Axe Cop.
Oh, I never saw that one.
Okay, so Axe Cop was a webcomic and a cartoon on Fox that was the tale. It was basically a cartoonist would have his little 6-year-old brother tell him stories about this Axe Cop character, and he would turn his ramblings into a story about a similar sort of Mary Sue-ish guy who could do impossible things. And it was just full of child logic. And I think that's what this is. This is like it's like a little bit more developed than that because it does have like a sense of, like there's like sexual desire and stuff in it.
Mhm.
So it's slightly more horny than that, but you know what I mean. It's like
Yeah, yeah,
it's a
yeah, yeah,
similar sort of little kid logic of how a story should be told.
yeah. And of course, he had the other part of it too was that they're threatening nuclear war with Russia.
Oh yeah, like was the president getting like some sort of rectal surgery or something? Because he was strapped to like every time you saw him, he was strapped to this gurney with his arms stretched out.
I think he was having it looked like physical therapy for his back.
Oh right,
I think that's what it was. Yeah, but yeah, it looked weird.
like everything in this movie is weird. Uh, Daniel, you were telling me a story that we shouldn't feel bad if we don't understand what was happening in this movie,
Yeah, yeah, because well, because Peter Weller didn't know what was happening in this movie.
and he was Buckaroo Banzai himself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you watch the documentary, the mega documentary, In Search of Tomorrow, this movie was profiled in that. And they interviewed Peter Weller and Tom, or not Tom Clancy Brown. And Peter Weller's just like, yeah, I have no idea what this movie was about. And he's like, he said somebody has to explain it to me because I mean, this movie came out almost 40 years ago, and he's like, I still don't know what's going on. I don't know what it's about, and neither did Clancy Brown. He's like, but to them it had to make sense, because they had to act like they knew what they were talking about.
Right. Yeah. So they say they're nonsense with so much dedication and sureness.
Yeah. And there was a scene where when Jeff Goldblum's delivering a line, and Clancy Brown's kind of looking down like this because he's trying not to crack up.
Yeah, that's one of the scenes where he starts his line and then starts it again.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
uh,
and it was almost like the director was like, "Ah, good enough."
this also really has the feel of like a 50s sci-fi B movie with an 80s budget and special effects level.
Yeah, yeah, I got that feeling too. Yeah, and yeah, it's definitely drive-in worthy. Yeah.
Yeah. So is it the greatest movie ever? Of course. It's just beyond our feeble third dimensional brain's abilities to understand.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we aren't nearly as intelligent as Buckaroo Banzai.
No, clearly, I mean, I'm barely a brain surgeon. I'm definitely not a samurai. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah, or a musician, or
yeah,
they'll well, to cap off this review, to have another quote from Buckaroo Banzai: "No matter where you go, there you are."
that faux philosophical depth is so this movie, just in a nutshell.
Hey, oh yes. So yeah, so if you were so inclined to watch this movie, yeah, give it a watch. It's on Tubi.
Yep. Which means you don't even need a subscription. Which means you could be, you don't. Nobody ever has to know that you watched this
Right, yeah. Or
if you're embarrassed.
exactly, yeah. Or it's also I believe Shot Factory has put this out on Blu-ray. So if you want to get a copy of the Blu-ray, yeah, go
Have that.
have at it. Yes. All right. Well, I think we've exhausted our topics for this week, and
With
we
five
actually,
minutes left.
wow, yeah.
I guess when we're talking about kind of vaguely ill-defined nonsense, we don't have as much to say.
That's true. Yeah. Well, yeah. It a little bit of weird in our lives isn't a bad thing.
No, Maybe we'll try to find something more straight-laced and serious for next week, or we'll double down.
Yes. Next week is, or actually tomorrow, is the South Park specials dropping on Paramount
Oh, that's
Plus.
right. Okay, so we're still going to be silly.
Yes.
And no, we are not reviewing Five Nights at Freddy's. You can't make me.
Okay. Well, that's settled.
Uh, Maybe on home video, but not.
Yeah, not seen in the theater.
No.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like that
Uh,
smash button and hit the
yes.
bell. It does
Hit the
things.
Yes. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, or follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, because you can watch the stream on both places. And
Yep.
yeah, we'll see you next week. Night, everybody.
Night, everyone.